All right. Hey, good morning, Stay Wild Child. We are on conversation 35 with Stay Wild Child. And I love doing these conversations. As you guys know, I love bringing you powerful women who have they've just kind of stepped into their superpower. And I like to call it superpowered, and maybe that's dramatic, but I don't give a shit because it's a damn superpower. It's a superpower to break up with old stories, old beliefs, old programs, and to step into your freaking superpower. It is a superpower, and we're going to claim that. So I have got Kylie with me today. Kylie Ebersol Bruner. I almost just put Kylie Ebersol and then I'm like, oh, wait, she's married. She's been married for a couple of years now. So it's Kylie Bruner. And her and I have been friends five-ish.
I think we're going on 6, yes.
Yeah, going on 6 years. And so we met through direct sales business, crazy enough. And, you know, what I love about direct sales businesses is it's connection, it's community, it's team. I love that part about it. And I also love the part about it always is about kind of like working on yourself and, you know, kind of getting to that healing aspect. But you make these great friendships, you go on these awesome trips together, and that's how Kylie and I met. And we have stayed friends through the business, through the years. I've taken a lot of advice from her around gardening, which we'll definitely get into and talk a little bit about. But this is my friend Kylie, and I just appreciate her coming on the show today. And Kylie, here is how I always start our conversation. I think that at times, especially because I saw that you just started a new Facebook group, and I think at times, like when we start these groups or we take an action step forward or, you know, it's a leap and we take that leap, people can look and think, oh, wow, like, how can I ever do something like that? Because they don't really see the backstory behind it, right? And so I always like to take people back to, where were you before? Where were you before that shift? Where were you before you decided to step into that superpower? You want to give us just kind of like a little glimpse to how long it was. You know, I had a friend the other day on here that was like 2 years, right? It was a couple of years. For me, it was like a decade before I took action. So where were you before that shift, before that awakening, before that stepping into your awesome power?
That's like a big question.
Yeah.
I come from a very, it's a terrible, abusive background. So I have 2 sisters that are 7 and 10 years older than me that they're not okay. We'll just leave it at that. I probably started to try to shift at 18.
Wow.
Which is, I think, rare.
Yeah, I think it is rare.
I didn't have the tools to do it. I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the knowledge. There was, you know, that was 1993. There was nobody to teach me any of this cool stuff that we're learning now.
Yeah.
And actually, I started learning about this stuff. I was a manicurist for many years and got really into essential oils and reflexology. Probably back in the late 90s or mid to late 90s, and then worked in a Nevada salon. So I worked a lot with aromatherapy there and reflexology. Yeah. And while I was there, I was introduced to Reiki for the first time. And I was working at this well-known day spa in town, and I learned to do Reiki, and I put my hands on one of my customers who came in complaining of a headache, and I healed her. This is so terrible. I healed her in like 3 minutes. Like, she was like, her headache was gone and she was like this, and she literally looked at me and she's like, that's from the devil.
Oh.
And that's where our town was in the 90s, you know, and late 90s, early aughts. And so she complained to the lady, complained to the owner of the salon, and I was told never to talk about it, never to touch anybody with it. Like, totally stifled me. And I was 28 years old. So I'd like to think I was a strong person then, but I know now I was not. So I let that squash me, and it squashed me for a very, very, very long time. And it was probably about 2 years ago where this just couldn't stay squashed anymore. Like I started getting angel numbers all the time.
Right.
And they were always about being a light worker. And I'm like, well, gee, I kind of am a light worker, but I'm not really working any light.
Right.
You know, and then, gosh, I kept working jobs that I was good at because I have sales skills, but I hated them. But it was what everybody expected me to do. And so I was under all this pressure from what everybody thought of me. And then all of a sudden I was done. I couldn't work like that anymore. I was miserable. I was a joyful person at one point, and then my joy was just sucked away.
Right.
So, oh, look at me getting a little emotional.
I know, I see. Yeah, well.
Okay, but yeah, about 2 years ago. So I started doing Reiki in my home, probably right about now. This is like right at the 1 year mark. So I had people coming, and then obviously everything shut down, you know, for COVID in March. So I had a nice little, 5-month run, and then nothing. And then I have a business coach that's actually, she does coaching on a spiritual level. So most of her customers do this sort of thing, or things I haven't even ever heard of. So she told me, she's like, Kylie, what about distance healing? Like I had shut it all down. And I was like, I know I can do distance healing, but I hadn't really done that much before. So I put it out there, and I started doing it. And now I have 17 subscriptions, people that have weekly Reiki with me. They pay a monthly amount. They have weekly Reiki, and I do card readings for them. And it's been a whirlwind. The more I learn, the more I realize how super powerful I am. Like, it is a superpower, and I had no clue I had the ability to do this. So it's been really interesting. It's taken some major shifts right now. I'm making some changes for my second year in the business, but it's been a blessing, and it has changed. It's changed everything. I don't take shit off anybody anymore. I don't care who you are.
Right.
No.
Isn't it interesting that somebody's fear projected itself onto you? And I'm sure, we're all super empathic if we're definitely in this Stay Wild Child group. But before we learn how to protect our energy, we can allow somebody's fear just to latch on to us.
Yeah, and completely stifle you.
Yeah.
All it takes is just one sentence from somebody.
Yeah.
And it's written on you for the whole rest of your life.
Yeah, I've had it happen many, many times in my life. Before I was doing this Stay Wild Child, I was doing just a little vlog, it was a vlog. And it was A Balanced Life was the name of the vlog. And I had gone I was invited to a friend's home, and the lady was a coach. She was a direct sales coach, very high up direct sales coach. So ran a huge direct sales coaching business, and very well respected in the industry. And she, I had said, I'm running this blog. It's called A Balanced Life. And she's like, ooh, balanced life. Ooh, I don't like that word, balance. And I thought, well, why? And she's like, I think of it as like a ball, and there's a board on the ball. And I think of you trying to keep your balance and how hard that is. And I thought, oh, it shut me down. That was like maybe 3 years ago. It shut me down because I'm like, I picked the wrong word. I'm screwing people. Oh, I picked the wrong word.
Something as steady and even as the word balance could be flipped around by somebody else's perception of the struggle that it would take to actually have balance.
Right.
Very interesting.
And so, yeah. And so it shut me down. I stopped vlogging. I mean, I had put out I think I put out about 22 vlogs. And I wasn't like, I think that I hadn't completely, you know, I was just practicing, right? I was just getting out there and I was just doing it and taking those steps forward. But yeah, that stopped me, and it stopped me for a period of time. And it wasn't until I had another friend about a year later, you know, whisper to me, hey, you're really great at talking to people. Have you thought about, you know, interviewing women? And I'm like, yeah, I had, but you know, I've kind of gotten stopped before. So, but yeah, and so I don't know, at that point, I guess I probably just gained enough of my own self-love to be able to step into what I felt passionate and what I felt was my purpose, right?
Back into it. Yep.
Yeah, it takes that self-work to be able to stand in your power.
And you know, it's interesting because you said you know, she said it's like a balancing beam on a ball. Well, she's kind of right.
Yeah.
I mean, to be balanced, to be really balanced, you have to do self-work. And I can't even tell you how it just goes from person to person to person to person. We're all going through the same shit, just a different way and a different day. So it's a lot of work. It's really, really hard to be balanced. But once you are balanced, it's not.
Exactly.
It's like you've learned it. You've got it figured out. And now you're sitting there and you can just be in joy and peace and have fun and have balance. And then every time you have to do a little bit of work here and there, it's just a little bit of work. It's not
right. It's like tweaking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So talk about 2020 and talk about this 2020 vision. And I know that I reached out to you at the beginning, at the very beginning of when we went into quarantine, because you are a master gardener. I mean, damn girl, you got that skill down. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. And I'll be honest, I struggled. I mean, at first,
I was like, did you give up?
Yeah, I did. I kind of screwed my back up a little bit at the beginning, and I just couldn't. My back was just killing me, and I was barefoot, like you said, in the garden. And
it's hard. It's hard. You really got to sit down. You
right.
Sit down and just relax.
Plan on doing some planter boxes closer to my house. My garden, I live on about an acre, and so mine was out just a bit, and we have a lot of critters. And so, so the critters loved all the fresh vegetables.
You're all like, here's my bunny. I'm like, bye-bye carrots.
Yeah. So, my basil plants made it. That's about all that made it.
That's good.
Yeah. So share with me, so let's just talk, if you want to talk about gardening, that's fine, but 2020, have you had some ahas during this time?
Oh, I've had lots of ahas. 2020 has really been the time that I have really, I've detached a lot of cords that I was tied to that I didn't need to. Some of them were family. It's been a little bit rough. I started that business. I had done all these specials, and now I spent my vacation in Colorado really revamping how I'm going to be delivering services in 2021. It's going to be quite a bit different. I've done a lot of really low specials, which, I mean, it's great. I want to get the customers in. I want to be able to heal as many people as possible, but I've learned that it's just, it takes way more out of me than I would have ever imagined it does. So I learned that I'm not charging enough for it. So now I have to take another step into that scary world of, oh my gosh, now I have to present this to all my old customers who have been paying this. And then I also have to present it to all my new customers coming in. And is it going to be like, are they going to accept it? Am I going to get customers? So, every time we step into something new, you step back a couple steps into the fear of what happens when you're going to do it. So, but I've definitely learned in 2020 that I'm just going to take that step. And if it flies, it flies. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. I mean, it's gonna fly.
It's gonna fly.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's gonna fly.
Right. It's standing in that. It's standing in your power. It's knowing what your worth is. It's knowing the value that you bring.
Knowing what your worth is a big one, because we're not just talking about dollars there.
Right.
You know, and then, but now I have to apply it to dollars.
Yeah.
which is a really interesting transition. But
it's an exchange of energy, though, and you know, when you're giving of yourself and you're helping someone reach that next level of a lot of times it's healing and discovering that they have the power inside of themselves, but it's that light that you're shining into their lives. And there is, I mean, this is how at this moment in this time in our world, that's how we exchange, is through money. It's through currency, right? At some point in the future, it may be trade, you know, and it could be, you might be trading with somebody right now for something.
I trade. I mean, you know, if somebody's got something to trade, I trade.
Yeah. I need a massage. Okay, I'll do Reiki. Exactly. Right. I need my hair done. Okay, I'll do Reiki. Right.
Absolutely. I have some customers that I do that with. I mean, you know, I want things just like they want things. So let's make it happen. But yeah, it's been interesting this year for sure.
So let's talk a little bit about your Reiki practice, because you mentioned in your bio some of the things that you've healed. So I'm assuming that you have done self Reiki and you have taken yourself on a healing journey. So share with us just a little bit about that. Share with us how you've been able to step in and heal some things personally in your life.
Well, you know, some of it was in the beginning, you know, I didn't know what I was doing really. And then as you get further and further and you start learning about the chakras and the symptoms, like now I can go, oh, today I have a lot of self-doubt. Let me check on my 3 lower chakras. And then, oh, look, that one's out of balance. And I can do that. And it's quick. Like Reiki's quick. This is accelerated healing. So even if you've got something big, you can move through it in like a 6 weeks period of time, or a month period of time, or 3 sessions period of time. It's so bizarre. And for me, I woke up at 4:30 this morning, went to the bathroom and came back to bed and tried to go back to sleep, and like the Reiki was running. Like I'm just laying there and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm healing myself. Here come the Ascended Masters and Guardian Angels. And like, I mean, there's colors sweeping through and grabbing stuff and pulling it out. So sometimes I'm deliberate. Sometimes I can wake up in the morning. If I don't feel right, I sit down and I Reiki myself before I ever have my first Reiki customer.
Yeah.
Lots of meditation, lots of herbs. Like I was studying Ayurveda for a while and looking at Ayurvedic stuff. I use a lot of that on my skin and pay attention to the vegetables. But it's been an interesting, long healing journey with Reiki, because I've been Reikiing myself since 2003.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's quite a while.
Yeah. So I was Usui Reiki Master in 2003. That's when that happened.
Okay.
And so I Reikied myself through my pregnancy. I Reikied myself and my friends and my family after that. Salon owner poo-pooed it. So I've been using it, just haven't been charging for it. But it has, from a very sad and abused, angry young woman to a balanced, much more balanced life, seeing things for what they are, third eye chakra wide open, and being able to heal things as they come in. It's been such a huge blessing. Huge.
I think that you know, it's so important for us to share our story, yet detach from it. I think you mentioned that, didn't you? Detaching. Did you say the word detach?
You're talking about the cords, detaching the cords.
Yes. So you had the story of abuse growing up. And it's such it's such a powerful story to share, because I have my own level of things that happened to me in my youth. But it's like I'm not attached to it any longer. Like, it happened,
but
and I like to.
It doesn't define who you are at all
Right.
anymore.
Yes. So how do you feel? So was it through Reiki? Is that how you detached from that story?
That's a really good question. Probably.
Okay.
I mean, probably. I have two sisters who have not detached. One's paranoid schizophrenia. The other one is bipolar. I don't know what she is. She's camping eternally in upstate New York right now. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that's different, is that I have energy healing in my life, and they don't.
They don't. Yeah.
Yep.
It's so powerful when we can. And that was something. I was so attached to my stories for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I had I had a child when I was a teenager, and she passed away. And I'm sorry.
I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah. I had a child at a young age, and I was in a very Christian home, which it was just, there was a lot of judgment because I was a disappointment, to the family, and so that kicked into my worthy issues, and it's not anything, because now I've gone in and I've healed all those old wounds
Right.
that I had around my parents. They were doing the damn best they could with what they had, with how they grew up, and so. But I went in and I really looked at that relationship, and I realized, those worthy issues, and I practiced that cord detachment because I was so connected to that's who I was. And so it was interesting the way I always tried to prove my worth through my life, because I felt like I was such a disappointment at such a young age.
It's exhausting.
And so, but once you heal that part, and it's probably always a healing thing. Shit, where the issues are going to come up with, for me.
Absolutely. It's eternal.
Part of my story.
That's what we're doing. Yep.
Yeah, but it's always this, it's this awareness practice of being able to release that baggage you're carrying with you and still talk about it, because you're inspiring people,
and
right?
You're looking at it at different perspectives. So we've all been programmed one way. You're talking about programming. You were programmed this way. You've read a lot of really good books, the 4 Agreements being one of them, and so you've been practicing erasing and rewriting the programming, which is really, it's really quite simple, because the truth is, when you start disagreeing with yourself and telling yourself what the truth is, eventually yourself gets tired of arguing with yourself, and it just goes, oh, okay, she's there now. Next. Yes. And then you're not ever doing that again. You're not ever saying that particular thing you just deleted again.
Yes.
So, sounds simple, but people are still just very, very stuck.
They get very attached. It's really an attachment thing. And I remember in my let's see, so I'm 49, so this would be in my early 30s, I guess. I got in that habit of, well, it was definitely a victim habit of because I was in a bad marriage, and so I was right, like I was playing that victim role, and I love to get on the phone and bitch about it, like bitch about the person, bitch about the situation, bitch about, and versus taking any accountability for it. And now, of course, I can take, full accountability, for the things that happened, during that time. But it's, you're right. It's very simple, yet I've had so many aha moments during 2020 going, well, no shit. That was easy. I was trying to put so much complication around it. So share with me something else you've had an aha moment about. Oh,
I have one more interesting thing to say about that, because in my experience with my coach that was coaching me through this, I had a period where I sat down in front of her and I was sobbing and I was crying. Let me think where I was going with this really quick. What did you just say that triggered me to say this about it? did you just say? Dang it.
It's okay.
It's funny because I have to tell you that sometimes stuff comes to me and it's like, I'm like, blah, 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 and I'm like, who said that? Like, and that's probably what that was. It was something coming through and then it just disappeared. So I'm doing that a lot lately. And I used to shut that off.
Oh.
You know, because you're blunt.
Right.
You say too much, you're mean. And I'm like, well, now I realize I'm not being mean. This is coming to me. I'm supposed to say it to you. You might not like it, but it's the truth. It wasn't meant to be hurtful. And it's not even really, most of the time, it's not even really my opinion.
Right.
Like, I don't think anything of it other than the fact that I'm saying it.
So you're getting a message.
I'm getting some messages when I'm talking to people, but golly, that was so important what you just said and what I wanted to say to you.
So we were just talking about the victim role.
Oh, yes. Okay. So I was sobbing. I was crying. Okay. Because my mother was married to this very abusive man until I was 10. He beat and molested all of us. So then when I was 10, she divorced him. And then I went into the 4th grade. And so then from the 4th through 6th grade, I was ADHD. I had come from this really bad background, and I think it was absolutely, like, it played a part in the ADHD. So I was on Ritalin. Yeah. I had trouble doing my homework, and my principal decided that she was going to paddle me with a board every day and stick me in a closet. Mm-hmm. So I went from being abused from this man to being abused by my principal, who, by the way, has a school named after her here in the town that I live in now. It's amazing. And I'm not the only story like this. But the realization that I had talking to this coach, you know, like I asked her, because when we go through these things, we perpetuate them through our lives.
Yes.
Yes. We
Repeat.
continue to find that. So this 9-year-old comes into the 4th grade and looks for somebody to abuse her.
Yeah, right.
So that was a big, like, oh my God, what? You know, in the coffee store, that was a big realization. So all through my life, abusive relationships, parents, friends, boyfriends, teachers, bosses.
Yes.
Like this last 2 jobs I quit before. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. All I'm doing is Reiki. That's it. That's all I'm doing. And that other little thing that I'm doing right now too.
Is that karma? Is it karma? Is it a karmic lesson though? Is it a pattern on repeat until we learn the lesson and resolve it?
I think it's learning. I think it's the growth of your being, which, you know, I haven't dived real far into past life stuff yet, but
yeah, I haven't either.
Definitely, I can tell you at the age, like, I have crib memories.
Wow.
So I can tell you at the age of 3, I had a knowing that I knew more than most people. That sounds so cocky when I say that.
No, it doesn't. No. You were just very, like, you were aware of your gifts at that point.
3. Like at 3, I was that cognitive and understanding, and I definitely had situations where we had gone to historical places as a child where I felt like I had been there before. Like, I mean, like, and I can just go back through my generations and generations in my family too. Like, it just gets worse and worse and worse. So, like, here I am, like, this is the end of the cycle. Like, I'm breaking the cycle.
Yes.
Right here. I don't think I did anything to deserve it. I just think that.
No, I don't mean karma as in a deserving thing.
Right.
I think of that, and I just asked you that because I'm wondering if we've misinterpreted the karma word, right? Like, so I'm wondering if it's a karmic pattern until you decide to break it, basically. Right. And I may be wrong. I may totally be wrong on that verbiage. It's just something I've been thinking about for a while. It's almost like it's just a recycled thing until you decide
like
to go in
Day.
and heal it. That's more what I mean about it. I don't mean deserving at all. Truly.
It's like Groundhog Day.
Mm-hmm.
So you keep having to wake up and relive it until you get it right. And
you're like, oh shit, wait a minute, this just happened again. What? Like, it's like the light bulb goes off. That ain't gonna fucking happen again. How am I gonna, okay, where was this? Where did that trauma come from?
Yeah. I had an interesting reading years ago. I went to, it's at least, Carson was an infant. Mm. So, and she had told me then to think healing. But what was really interesting that she told me, like she said, she mentioned my daughter, and she said that she was a sprite sprinkling her pixie dust over everybody. And she called her an elder.
Oh.
And I said, elder. She goes, well, old souls, elders. So she described that to me. She said she channels. So
I got chills.
She usually talks to the dead. So, and she told me, she said she is an elder, which means she's already gone through the trials and the problems, and this life is going to be much easier for her. So I'm guessing that there are different levels, levels that you hit, and then once you've got it, then I guess that's where heaven is. I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the, and I'll be honest, I'm kind of in the same place you are with understanding quite all that aspect of it. But we went to a retreat in August, I think it was, with my friend Andrea Housey. And we went to Arkansas. There was about 12 of us. And
I watch you.
Yeah. And so she had given us this breakdown. It was our natal birth chart, but she went a little bit deeper. And she said that I had, I think, 3 karmic lessons to learn. And I'm like, well, that's a bunch of shit. All right.
I'm sure you've learned a couple by now, right?
Yeah, I think I have probably. But I'm like, bring them on. Let's flow through this stuff. Come on. I want to heal and transcend.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, our lessons are, I think that they're there just to help somebody else get through theirs, because that's why I do these, because somebody is going to relate to somebody that's going to trigger something, that's going to allow them to take, action and healing of themselves. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and you never know how somebody's going to end up hearing about you. I had, when I first came out with this, I have tons of friends on Facebook just because I've always been in sales. Some of them I don't know personally. My first customer was a woman I had never laid eyes on before.
Yeah.
So she said, I'm interested. She brought me 3 more. And then they brought me all these people, and they're all they're staying. I can't make them stop.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I wouldn't make them stop. But I mean, really, my goal always in everything that I have ever done in my life was to help people. And nothing I ever did before actually really helped. I mean, really helped people. And this, I'm watching some of these women in a very short, like I said, it's accelerated in a very short amount of time, completely shift their lives and hear them, see them, and feel them turn into different people who look at things much, much differently.
What a gift. What a blessing.
Yep.
Yeah. So do you have a team of guides that you work with?
Not really. I mean, I have my ascended masters and my guardian angels, and I reach out to them and bring them in, but
nobody specifically that name that you're really pulling and channeling from. No. Yeah, gotcha.
And I might have that at some point.
Oh, of course.
Sure. Tomorrow I might.
Yeah. Tomorrow Lucy's gonna say, "Hey, duh, I've been here."
I know. Hey, I'm
got my name now. Help me out.
Because it is. I mean, it's like every day I learn something new.
Yeah.
Every day I'm looking to learn new things. So I'm always looking at new classes to get involved in and different things that I can that I can bring in to help heal. I mean, the more you do for yourself that way, the better everything else is going to be.
Absolutely. Yeah, I 100% agree. So let's talk about how you add crystals into your Reiki practice.
Oh gosh, crystals.
I
So
love them.
I love to go way, way back with crystals to kindergarten and the playground.
Really?
I used to pick up rocks and stick them in my mouth to clean them off to see how pretty they were. I had I had pinworms a couple times. But I had a really awesome rock collection. Well,
Sure.
that kind of got stifled too because mom doesn't want rocks in her house, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So actually my mom is a Reiki master as well.
Mm.
And she actually had like this little bag of chakra crystals. So it was just seven different stones for the different
Right.
crystals. And so I asked her birthday before this one if I could have those because she doesn't do anything with it. She wasn't using
Okay.
it. She's like, no, you can't have my crystals. I'm like, it's just a bag of crystals. So next thing you know, on my birthday, she hands me like this huge box. Like I didn't know she had these crystals. And
Oh.
so there's like thousands of dollars worth of crystals in this box. And I had to start going through them and pulling them out. And I just started, as people would come in and they had all these things that they wanted to work on, I started Googling what crystals would be good for this situation.
Yeah.
And then I started picking them by what I felt about it. And then I have a crystal. I have a lady that I buy crystals from, and I bought a couple pendulums from her.
Yeah.
And now I still do that. I Google, I pull out all the crystals I have for that particular thing, and then I ask the pendulum which crystal is right for that person.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Oh, and I can't even tell you, like, I'll Google it, I'll pull it. I don't read what the crystal's about.
Right.
I do the Reiki session, and then I go through and I send which crystals I used and what they're good for, and
Right.
they nail it every time. Like I'm like I couldn't have picked that myself, and some of them I probably wouldn't have picked myself because I didn't like
Sure.
I didn't like the way they looked or something. I don't know, but it's been really interesting. So I bring them in, I photograph them, I touch them, I use my selenite crystal to power them while I'm doing the Reiki session. Sometimes if I need to, I'll lay down and just hold them all on my body while I do it. But
Right.
very, very powerful. Like I'm sweating just thinking about it right now. It's like got me fired up. But
Do you use crystals in your garden?
sometimes, yeah. I have some in my plants outside.
Nice.
Some that I just brought back from Colorado too. So I'm like, where am I putting this rock?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I have mine in my plants as well. I did not put them in my garden. Maybe that's the reason my garden didn't go well, but no. But yeah, I do. I have them in all my plants through my house and all of that. So it was fun. My birthday was just last month, and my friend Kelly, she orchestrated, I hosted an event called Bikino. It's kind of like bingo and poker mixed. And it's just a game that we play once a month at somebody's house. And so I was hostess last month. And Kelly, it was my birthday, so she had all the ladies in the group go to this little local crystal shop, Lightworker Sanctuary, and they all picked me out a crystal, and they all brought it to me. I was like, so special. Isn't that sweet?
I love
I
it.
know.
Yes.
It's very,
Like
very.
I wish if everybody appreciated rocks as much as I did, that's what everybody would be getting from me.
Yes.
All the time.
You know, my mom didn't, she was never, I don't think she knows a lot about crystals, but she's always been a rock collector, and she's got so many rocks, and she loves working with rocks. And so
that's
I think I need to initiate her. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just, these are polished, and yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, she has an affinity for it. And actually I have a lot of crystal. I love the raw chunk crystals before they're polished too.
Uh-huh.
What was I just going to say? Oh, jewelry. Like I wear jewelry. That's a really nice piece. This is kind of cool. This is rhodochrosite.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can pop it out of here. I actually got this. I had a friend hook me up with a guy in Denver who he deals million dollar crystals.
Oh.
So I got to go to their warehouse and look at the chunks that fall off of these $1 million crystals. I'm trying to get this out of my necklace so you can see it, but it won't.
Oh, how cool is that?
Rhodochrosite's super expensive and it's a really awesome rock, but he's like, here, you can have this chunk for free. Let me see.
How cool. Yeah. How cool is that?
Yeah, and it's wonderful. It comes up a lot in self-love, so I'm wearing it. But I also I have a friend here in town that makes handmade malas. I don't know if you've seen me post about that.
Yeah, no, I'd love to be connected with her though.
So most of my customers purchase them. So I usually do the sessions and I pick your rocks and we choose these really great rocks for you. And then if you decide you want a mala, Becca and I come together and I tell her what rocks I used and I liked. And then Becca will put in her 2 cents and her intuition because she's really good about it. And then she builds this mala in like a day.
That's so nice.
And when you actually get it, it's specifically made for you and what you were trying to work on and the crystals that were chosen specifically for you. The mala is done in prayer.
Yes.
When you actually have it in your hands, it brings tears to your eyes. It makes you cry. My friend Marcy has one.
Oh, she does?
Yeah. When I introduced you to. She was one of the first ones to get one. But
oh, how powerful is that?
So, I try to incorporate that way too. So we pick the crystals that are right for you. We figure out how to get them for you, and the mala is just nice because you can wear it, you can hold it, you can hang it in your car, whatever you need. And you can change the intention of it on a daily basis if you want to.
You can, create I am statements. You can chant. There's so many beautiful things that you can do with a mala.
Absolutely.
I love that. Oh, it's so nice. It's really, really nice. What a good gift that you have for your clients. I love that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So tell me, so let's talk just a little bit about gardening. So is your garden, is it something that you heavily researched? Do you garden intuitively? Do you garden by the moonlight? Tell me what's your jam on gardening?
It's kind of all the jams. So it's a lot intuitive. I can look at them and talk to them and figure out what they need. If I can't figure it out, there's Google. If you've got weird spots on your cucumbers, Google will have a picture of those weird spots on the cucumbers and a solution for it. So I've done this last year. I've added a lot of things to the garden via Google, the organic insecticides that I use, like the DE and the I don't know why I can't remember the names of them now. It's funny. I was out there spraying my cabbage yesterday because it's starting to get eaten a little bit. So this is my first year to have a fall and winter garden. So I've got cabbage and broccoli and kale and collard greens and all of that coming on, which is my favorite. Those are my favorite anyway, really. Yeah. But the gardening, that's been the same thing, just like everything else. It's like a metaphor for what we're doing. Gardening is the same as growth in yourself. The more you practice, the more you learn, the more you absorb, the more you can add to it, the better it goes.
Are you doing container gardening?
It's just a raised bed. I have all my, most of my herbs in containers.
Gotcha.
So, but the rest are raised beds, and I can go out there and just dig my hand down in the dirt, and I'll have 20 worms in my hand. They're that, I don't.
It's that rich.
Yeah, it's that rich, and I compost and stuff like that too. So, and use some organic fertilizers.
Did you do some canning this year?
Some canning. I did so much canning. I just bought cucumbers for the first time in the grocery store because I didn't care if I ever saw another cucumber. I planted 4 cucumber plants, and I would go out there and there'd be I'd be like, oh, I only have 1 or 2, and I'd come back in with 10. And then I'd make pickles, and then I didn't have room for the pickles, so I'd sell the pickles, and we still have pickles.
Nice.
I made a lot of relish, a lot of pickles. I did a lot of Oh, smoked salsa in the Traeger.
Ooh.
Yeah, you take all the salsa ingredients and smoke them for 3 hours in the Traeger, and then blend them up and can them. So it's a smoke. It's awesome. Smoked salsa.
Is it delicious? Oh, I bet it's amazing.
It's ridiculous. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that's it. I think I did some frozen cobblers. I made a bunch of cobblers and froze those, and some peach jelly. I guess I did a lot of candy.
You did a lot. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, I
That's
guess
a
I did
lot.
a
I
lot,
mean,
of
it's wonderful. I
candy.
would have loved to have had enough produce to been able to have done
And you
even a
didn't
little
have
bit
the
of that. So.
kitchen to be able to do that, though.
I know. Well, the kitchen's
Yeah,
good now. So
yeah.
yeah.
That wouldn't go well without a working kitchen.
Right. Yeah.
It
I
is
was,
sometimes.
I was without a kitchen for about a year. So it was nice to have one again. It's been
Yeah,
a blessing,
yeah.
but yeah.
It looks awesome, right?
So I think I might try to do a raised bed or something like that. And I think I'm just going to start a little bit smaller. I went all in.
You
I
did.
think I
You went
planned it.
crazy, but that's
I
okay.
did.
You
It's
got
okay.
some.
Yeah.
You got some stuff though, right?
I got a few things. Yeah. I got a handful of things, and I think I'm just going to move it up a little bit closer to the house, and I'll just start a little smaller this year. I think the area that's down, it's down by the water, and I think I'm just going to put like wildflowers in there, and kind of do more like a butterfly kind of garden area, so that it can just be watered. I don't have to weed it. It's okay if weeds come, and
Right.
I can feed the bees and the butterflies.
Well,
I think
you saw my butterfly, didn't you? The one I raised.
no,
So they like dill. So
I
I
do.
had like two dill plants out there, and I had this one show up, and it was a big striped green and yellow and black caterpillar, and so I cut off. He was on my fennel plant actually, but I cut it off and I put it in a jar, and I just kept filling it as he ate it, and then he turned into a chrysalis, and then 2 weeks later he popped, and he was a swallowtail butterfly. He was black and blue and just stunning, but it was so exciting. Everybody was like, "Oh my god, he's flapping
You
around!"
grew a butterfly. That's so
I did.
cool.
I grew a butterfly on my windowsill.
I missed
It was
that. I
so
don't know
cool.
how I missed that. I missed it.
Well, and then I had several more show up, and I was like, I'm just going to let them have the dill. I've already dried a ton of, I had a ton of dill. So,
Yeah.
but then they didn't make their chrysalis in the plant. They went somewhere else. So I didn't get to see them do it. Otherwise, I'd have put them all in jars.
So I heard that because my friend Laura and I, we went maybe July-ish, we went to a butterfly sanctuary. And I think it's really hard for them to make it out in nature. It's easier when you give them a really sheltered space to be able to
Yeah.
thrive in. And then it's just, they breed better, I guess, in captivity versus just kind of on their own. A lot of them don't make it. So that's something that I thought about because, I'm about to have a green girl. And I thought, well, how fun would that be if we grew butterflies?
I have a friend that I will connect you to on Facebook because she had mentioned on my butterfly pick that she does butterfly gardens every year.
Yes.
So right now, she's actually, because she helps the monarchs, right now, she's like, shows pictures of all these caterpillars in all these weird places. Like, today she's like, oh, this is a weird spot to make a chrysalis. It was under, like, a shoe was sitting like this, and it was sitting right under the toe where the shoe popped up. And so she's got these butterflies making chrysalises all over the place through her backyard and her garage. And she told me that they would travel like a quarter mile to from where they ate to where they build their chrysalis.
Oh, okay. Yes. So yes, do connect me with her because we have tons of monarchs in our backyard.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I would love to give them a safe space to get food and
you need milkweed.
Yes. Yeah.
But lots of other stuff too. I try not to bring in the caterpillars too much just because they like to eat. So they will decimate, they'll decimate the veggie crop. But if you're doing a butterfly garden, I'm all for that because then they can go eat at your house and then they can come pollinate my plants.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Yeah, that was
So how far do they, I mean, like, so a butterfly garden and a vegetable garden, if they were on the same acre, would that not be
I think
good?
it would be fine as long as they weren't like in the same
As long as
bed.
they're separated.
Yeah,
Yes.
like one side or the other, because
Right. I would split
obviously
them.
you'd put the stuff that the butterflies like in the, like dill. You put a bunch of dill plants out there, you'll be able to get your dill out there, but then you'll also be able to have the swallowtails really like the dill and the fennel. And then the milkweed I actually got some milkweed seeds.
Yeah, I think I've got some. I actually have some too. I ordered some of those heirloom seeds. That the heirlooms are the ones that they reseed, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I got some of those.
I try to do that. I planted marigolds and I took all their seeds, so I'll be planting from, there'll be second generation marigolds at my house.
Yeah, I just think I love that. I love that. I think during 2020, it's really given us the opportunity to step back and, even though my garden didn't work, but it's given me pause to think about those kinds of things, right? We want things that are sustainable and that will, come back year after year, and things that we can help our community with.
Yeah.
So
you want to be able to feed yourself, and then also, like I have all these medicinal herbs around the house. So, and that's another thing that I really want to get into in 2021 is I really want to be certified in several herbal things. I want to make teas. I have lots of dried chamomile, lots of eucalyptus.
Oh, so cool.
I've jarred aloe. I've got stevia.
Yeah. Stevia. Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe it. It's when you chop it up and you dry it and you create a powder with it that you can sweeten things with, it's green.
Wow.
It's green. So the stuff
they're changing the color. They're changing the color of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a plant.
Process.
Yeah, this is a plant. Literally, like I can grow this plant. I can go out to the garden. I can cut off a little piece of it, make some tea in a pot, throw that in there and let it sit in there for about 5 minutes in the boiling water, and it will sweeten that entire pot of tea. And it tastes like sugar. It doesn't taste like what stevia tastes like at the grocery store.
It doesn't taste like the fake stuff.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Wow.
No, it doesn't.
So you're a little gardening witch, you're a little kitchen witch. You got all the good stuff.
I'm a little witchy, yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Did you see my kitten?
Yes.
This is an awesome story. So my magic kitten, like I told Brian like 5 months ago, I was like, I need a kitty. I haven't had one in 9 years. I'm like, I really think I need a kitty. And he's like, no, we don't need a kitty. And I'm like, oh, I need a kitty. And I said, I'm not even going to look for the kitty.
The kitty's going to come.
I'm not going to look for her. I said, she's going to show up right here at the house. And I said, she's going to be so cute. Her face is going to be marked up awesome. Or she's going to have 5 toes. There's going to be something really cool about this cat. And so literally we were in the driveway. I was kissing him goodbye a month and a half ago in the morning. And our next door neighbor came over. He's a firefighter and he works in Austin. And when he was leaving work the day before, he saw a cat jump out of the back of his truck. Well, the cat had put one of her babies in the back of his truck. So that baby drove 40 miles down I-35 to Georgetown, Texas. And he walks over and he's like, I have a project for you. And he plumps this little kitten in my hand, 5 weeks old, covered in pus and around her eyes, and I bathed her, and now she's magic.
She's yes. Is that her name?
Magic.
Nice. Isn't it nice how you just put it out there and then it?
Oh, it totally, yeah. And she could not fit in here better. Like she was playing within the first day. She was slapping the dogs around. Like I've got this, and.
Oh, it's so cool.
She's just awesome. She's awesome.
So yeah, I've actually said the same thing. I was wanting a kitty as well. And we did bring one home, and it just, my dog Marley, I got just a little bit nervous about. It wasn't that he was aggressive to it. He just kept trying to pick it up in his mouth. And I just thought, well, I don't know what might happen if, I don't know if he knows to not, if he's going to be gentle.
Yeah, poor wet kitty.
Yeah, right. You make, I just didn't know what he would do. And it just made me too nervous. So they're like, look, we got plenty of people who are going to adopt these kitties. Just bring it back. So I brought it back. And then my neighbor got a kitty out of the same litter. We almost picked the one that my neighbor got, but we didn't. And so it's just my next door neighbor, and that kitty loves me. It comes over
here all the time.
All the time. It's all the time. I call it and it comes running and we hang out for a little while and then it goes back home. So it's probably for this period of my life. It's probably
exactly what you needed.
It's exactly what I needed right now. So, at some point in the future, if Marley, who knows, Marley, but at some point in the future, if Marley decides that, he's okay around kitties, we'll see.
That's funny.
It just made me a little nervous. I'm like, he goes, babe, you cannot come home and have a dead kitty because Marley, carried it too hard. And I'm like,
carried the kitty too much.
Yeah. So they chase bunnies. We got a ton of bunnies in our yard and they chase the bunnies and they never try to like they're just chasing them. Like they never try to they're not really trying to catch them. They're just running after them. And so I don't think that they're ever, really trying to hurt anything. They're not like eating them, swallowing them, if they do catch them. So
that's funny.
Yeah, I know.
My Aussie mix will eat a bunny if she catches one.
Yeah.
She's done it. She's there's no living when I was at my mom's, there was no living as a bunny on her property.
Ah, gotcha.
No,
yeah.
Outside the fence line.
Right. You take your chances over there.
If you're in the yard, there's nothing I can do for you.
Well, so after we close out here, I'd love for you to put your link to your group because it's all about crystals and herbs and all kinds of good stuff. And I think that I joined. I'm pretty positive I joined.
I think you did. It's great. I'm trying to find a way to build business without putting too much pressure on it. And there are just so many people that they just don't know about this.
Yeah.
And if they know about it, they still just don't know about it. So they want to know, and this is just a great way. So I just kind of decided this past week that I'm going to start, I have sometimes 3 to 5 people a day that I'm using this crystal work on. So there's no reason why I can't share what crystals I used in a session and what they're good for without, compromising the privacy of the customer. It just gives you an idea of what they look like and what they can be used for. And it gives you an opportunity to be able to ask questions and see if it would help you. And I just want to open dialogue.
Is it a public group?
It should be.
Okay, cool. So when you post something, I can always share it into Stay Wild Child. I've kept Stay Wild Child private just simply because sometimes people like to talk about little deeper things. And so I've kept it private. I don't know. I might do another poll.
I may have done the same thing.
Okay. We'll see.
You definitely I have to accept you.
Right.
Into it if you're asking to be.
Well, yeah. So I have to, So just if you can share it, it's public.
Yeah.
If you're not able to share the post, then it's a private group. So yeah. Okay. But we can share some of those cool crystal tips in Stay Wild Child. And then for sure, I want you to post your group link so that people can join you and get to know you a little bit more and find out all these cool uses of these teas and these crystals and all the good stuff.
And also, I just want to reiterate that most of my Reiki sessions right now, I haven't done in person since March. So I'm planning to add an in-person in January. It's not going to be inexpensive at all. It's going to be 3 hours. We're going to do some serious stuff while you're on my table, and we're going to do the rocks and the oils and a card reading and everything all at the same time. So it'll be a really big experience, but I'm always going to have my distance sessions.
Yes.
And I work on people as far as Canada.
Well, energy is energy. And so, right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was working on people when I was in Colorado. So, and those were some of the best sessions that I ever did because I had my, I was in the mountains and I had my feet in some soil. So,
amplifying that energy. Mm-hmm.
A little bit of distance is nothing. We can still do some work.
Absolutely. I posted a meme in Stay Wild Child, and it was when you send out the energy of love, you are impacting, I want to say it said something like 750,000 people.
That's very interesting.
When you're sending out that energy. So when I did my last little thing over at the house, we did some breath work and we did a guided meditation, and we were sending out love and kindness and healing energy. And I'm like, we're impacting so many people because we were focusing across the United States, and then we went globally. So
yes, and so in the same aspect, Reiki can be done that way too. I'm actually thinking about doing like a monthly group Reiki, which is it's going to be like $3.33.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so the idea is we'll do it like this date, and then we'll get 50 people in it, and then I can do a group session on everybody.
Yes.
Other thing that I do that we haven't talked about is a blast. I'm calling them Reiki blasts, and this is something I came up with myself.
Okay.
I had a young woman who suffers from anxiety, We would do a session on her, and the next day she's like, oh my gosh, I feel fantastic. Positive, positive, positive. Day later, still okay. Day later, not okay. So I was like, well, if we're dealing with something like anxiety, where it's really hard to be balanced just in the daily stuff, then what if we worked on it every single day for 5 days?
Yeah.
So it's a blast. So what I do is like I get a group together. I have a group page, and I'll put that blast out there, and I'll say I'm limiting it to 5 people, or I'm limiting it to 10 people. And these 10 people are all coming in specifically for anxiety.
Oh, right? Yes.
And so then what I do is I prompt everybody every day, what do you need support with tomorrow morning? So everybody types in what they want, which yours might be very different from hers.
Sure.
But maybe you have hers, but you didn't think about that until she said it. Mm-hmm, but then I go through and I pick crystals for all of these things that people were talking about. And then when I do the healing, it's all done at the same time for everybody. So it's for the collective. So her healing is also for you, and your healing is also for her and for her. And it's just much more powerful. And then you have this group of people that are talking back and forth about it too. So when you're sending out energy, it's hitting a lot of people, but I'm starting to harness that and try to figure out how I can hit a lot of people in a much shorter, much smaller amount of work time, just because it's a lot of, it's exhausting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
It's like by the end of the day, if I've done 5 people, that's probably one person too many. I should probably stop at 4 because 4 is exhausting.
Yeah, understood. Yeah.
But if I can do them all in one session, we're doing a little better. But
I love that. Reiki blast.
Reiki blast.
Very cool. Yeah.
It's like blasting the fascia.
That's right. That's right. I'm actually going to go do that this afternoon.
Work that away. Give you a better building block. And actually, she still has some issues. But I can tell you that her posts on Facebook, like, I'm like, who is this person? Because she, like, before everything was negative and woe is me and how terrible is life and blah, blah, blah. Now it's like pictures of her baby and this fun time that she's having. And today's been a great day. Like, I mean, it's a totally, totally different human in a 5-day session. So.
It's so incredible. I love energy work. It's we're so powerful, and just to allow that power to come through us, it's really a gift. Well, thank you, my friend, for being on Stay Wild Child.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to see you. I see you, But
Yeah.
you know, I see you talking and stuff, but it's not the same as seeing you and actually getting to
It's
talk
not the
to
same.
you.
Yeah. 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 It's good to have conversations.
I do
Yeah.
love that we have Zoom, especially in this time right now, because it's made for some really good connection, and
It has.
even connection from far away, because you are far away.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being a part of it. And guys, thanks for listening. I'll leave the live up for a handful of days, and then I'll pop this up on YouTube so that you can share it with your friends. And thanks everybody for joining. Stay Wild Child is always every Monday at noon Central Standard Time. Conversations with Stay Wild Child. And hey, check out the event page in our group. We've got a witchy flash mob coming up that's going to be absolutely fantastic. So I hope you'll join in for the fun. All right, girl. Well, have a good one. And I hope you just have a beautiful day. Say hello to your beautiful daughter and your husband for me.
Thank you so much. You too.
Yes. Namaste, girl.
Namaste.
Bye.